You think I've just clickbaited you? Well, I did. No, I'm joking. This actually works. What's up everybody, my name's Annie and welcome back to 128KB. If you're new to the channel, go down there, smash that like and subscribe button and share this video around because I'm sure it's gonna help somebody out there because this literally works, right? So we have another channel called 128KB News and that's a PlayStation channel run by AJ. And I think he's gonna be a little bit upset because the Dual Sense, the PS5 Dual Sense controller actually works with the Nintendo Switch with what we're going to be talking about today, which is mental. So maybe go over to that channel and say, haha, we've got PS5 on Nintendo now. But yeah, the PS5 Dual Sense controller is amazing. There's no doubt about that. Even if you don't like PlayStation, it's a truly next generation controller with all of its like haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, but just the actual feel of the thing itself, like it feels premium. I love the look of it, whether you love it or hate it. I personally love it. And well, I've got one already, you know, I've not gone and bought this already, you know, for this purpose. I've got it already. So I thought, well, let's see if we can get it to work, right? So who doesn't want to have a high quality controller that works on the Switch? And it's just a bit funny having a PlayStation controller and playing Mario, right? I know that was certainly weird for me, but there's one little thing that makes all of this work. And it is the 8-bit Do wireless adapter 2? I think it's called, or is it Bluetooth adapter 2? I don't know, one of those things. We'll have it linked down in the description below where you can go and purchase it or find it or whatever. You know, this is an unsponsored video, by the way. We've gone out and bought this for this purpose, for this video. So we haven't been sent it or anything like that. All opinions are my own and I'm always honest on every single video, even if we get sent stuff anyway. So well, there you go. So it's super easy to use, but the first thing you want to do is update the firmware. So it actually has firmware built into it. So if you go to the 8-bit Do website, then you can go to the like firmware updater and then just download that onto your Mac or your PC, and then you plug the dongle in. You don't need to connect the controller or anything yet. You just plug the dongle into your PC via the USB-A on the end of it, and then it will say like, you know, there's an update for this, or maybe it will say that it's already up to date. It's up to you. I mean, I had an update and well, it was as easy as that. I just clicked update and it's ready to go. Now there's a couple steps to get this working with the Switch. So obviously the 8-bit Do adapter itself is basically like a little USB stick and it's got a USB-A connector on the end. So this only works when the Switch is docked. So it's for docked only. So what you want to do is get your Switch dock, plug the adapter into one of the USB-A ports on the outside, or there might be one on the inside. And then all you need to do is on the end of the adapter, there's actually a tiny little button and you want to hold down that button until it starts blinking basically, and then get your PS5 Dual Sense controller, and now you have to hold two buttons simultaneously at the same time, right? So you want to hold PlayStation button and also the share button at the same time, and that will get the controller to go into like Bluetooth pairing. And for me, it sort of adapted, it's connected. Oh, come on, Andy, just talk. It connected to the adapter instantly, you know? So I actually did it the other way around, even though in the instructions it says to do it the other way around. I held the controller on to search first, then I held the button and it worked straight away. But next up, you need to go to the actual Switch itself, and then you go into the settings, and you probably need to do this with a Switch controller or your Joy-Cons first, but you need to go to the controllers, you need to go to wired Pro Controller support, and you want to select yes on that setting there, and that's going to let the controller talk to the adapter, and the Switch is then going to pick it up as a USB wired controller. So once you've done that, pretty much everything's ready to go. Like you're just sorted. It's all good. You can start playing your favorite games with your DualSense controller, and everything works, okay? But there are two things that don't. So haptic feedback is obviously a PlayStation feature, so that doesn't carry over. But The rumble does. So rumble is still there. And the same with the adaptive triggers. Well, sadly, you're not going to get that because that's a PS5 feature. And so, that doesn't work. But the triggers still work as intended. So everything works. All the buttons work absolutely fine out of the box. There's no tinkering needed at all. You can just connect it and you're ready to go. You get rumble, you get all the triggers working. You get gyro as well. Gyro works straight out of the box. Like gyro is just working. All the D-pad, everything works perfectly. So the PlayStation button becomes your home button. And the only thing I thought was a bit disappointing was I was a bit like, well, we lose the share button, the screenshot button. And I was a bit disappointed about this. I was like, I need to make sure I talk about that. Well, it is there, but I will come back to that in a second. But it is there, straight out of the box. You don't need to do anything, it is there. Now, this is a massive thing, which is absolutely amazing, is the fact that there is software for this. So you could plug in your adapter into a PC or Mac and download the ultimate software. And then you can basically tweak everything. It's mental. Like the amount of customization you can do here is just ridiculous. So you can create profiles, you can reassign buttons to anything you want. So you can change whatever buttons mapped to the controller to whatever you want. Like literally, you could change everything. You can adjust joystick sensitivity. So if you wanted it to be less sensitive or more sensitive, you can do that. You can invert the axis. You can swap the D-pad for the left stick and more. The triggers can be fully customized too. So how far you have to push them down to actuate, which is really, really nice. Vibration can be set, and there's even macros that you can assign to. So assigning macros, you can basically assign multiple button presses to a button or whatever, and then it will play that macro for you in the game. It's just ridiculous. So I thought this was amazing just as a dongle, but that software behind it makes this absolutely, I don't even know, it's so powerful. I mean, they called it the ultimate software and there couldn't be a better name for it. Like at first when I was downloading it, I was like, that's a bit cheesy, ultimate software. No, I've got to hand it to them. It's an ultimate software. I was not expecting to be able to get a Dual Sense controller and remap it, reassign everything, customize the sticks and the triggers. It's ridiculous. Like, I understand with their own controllers that they build, but for a Sony, like an official Sony PlayStation controller, and you can just change everything. What? That's amazing. Like that is a powerful, powerful tool, especially with how much this device cost, which we'll come to at the end of the video. All right, okay, but what's it actually like to use? So in terms of like lag and latency, I didn't notice any whatsoever. I was thinking this is gonna be it, right? This is fairly cheap to buy. I was thinking maybe it's not gonna be that great. Nah, I tried all these different games. I tried FPS games like Doom, I tried Mario and all these other games, and it was flawless. Like, it worked just like a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. It was amazing. And obviously the controller itself is such a solid controller. It was amazing to play Super Mario Sunshine with a PlayStation controller, with a PS5 controller. It was just so weird. Like, it was amazing. I had so much fun doing this just because it was so weird. Like, it was such a novel idea, but the practicality of this is actually really, really good, because if you don't have a Switch Pro controller or any other, maybe you've just got the Joy-Cons, right? And you're like, oh, this isn't very good. I want an actual controller experience. And maybe you're a dedicated hardcore PlayStation fan, so you don't want to buy the Switch Pro controller because, the sticks are all in the wrong place and everything. Well, you don't need to anymore. You can save a lot of money and use the controller you already have, and you're going to be familiar with it. Obviously, the only downside really, well, I'll come to stuff I don't like, but the only sort of negative here is obviously when you've got triangle, X, circle, and square, well, you've got to realize those buttons aren't there anymore. So you've got A, B, X, and Y, and obviously X is now going to be B, and circle is going to be A. So you've got to get your head around that a little bit, because there's no, like, you can't change the physical look of the controller, right? But if you're not looking at the controller and you're just playing, everything works really, really well. I enjoyed it a lot. And the last thing I wanted to say about actually using this, because I almost forgot, was yes, the gyro works. So rumble and the triggers, all the buttons and everything work absolutely fine. Like, it works great. There's no latency that I could tell, anything like that. But the gyro was a little bit overkill for me. Like, it's too sensitive. So I tested this out mainly with Pokemon Legends Arceus, and the sensitivity was way more. Even though I had the sensitivity level the same in the game settings as I would use with my Pro controller, the Switch Pro controller, the gyro was a bit too twitchy for my liking. So it does work, but it's just very, very sensitive for me. So this works with all 8-bit Do Bluetooth controllers, the Switch Pro controller, Xbox One controller, DualShock 3 and up, Wii U Pro controller, and of course the PS5 Dual Sense. And all of these you can connect to the Switch, or this also works with Windows, Mac, Raspberry Pi, and more as well. So this is not just limited to the Switch. You can actually use the PS5 controller with your PC, or you can use your Switch Pro controller with the PC, or the Xbox with the Switch. Like, you can use pretty much any Bluetooth controller with this, and that is really, really good, because like I said, if you don't have a Switch Pro controller already, you could save a lot of money by just using the controller that you've already got that might be more familiar to you, which means you're going to enjoy playing the Switch some more. Okay, so there's a couple things I don't like. So one of them is the fact that, let's say you left your Switch on and you've not got the like save power feature turned on the Switch, where it like shuts down after a small amount of time. Let's say you've got it never to like dim or shut down. Well, then that dongle is going to remain powered whilst the console is on. And whilst that dongle is powered, the controller will remain powered. It will not enter a state of sleep or shutdown. So you're just going to kill your battery. So let's say you went out for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever, night out, or went away for a weekend and you forgot to turn it all off, well then your controller is going to be dead. Whereas obviously an actual Pro controller is going to turn itself off. And really you should have the sleep thing enabled on your Switch anyway, just because it's better to do that, okay? Now, the other thing I don't really like is the fact that the Switch sees this as a USB wired controller, which is kind of understandable because it's just a Bluetooth dongle and it's kind of like bypassing it a little bit. But whilst it being seen as a wired controller, it means that you do not know the charge level of your PlayStation controller or Xbox controller or whatever controller you've got connected to it, because the Switch thinks it's just wired. So that's like a bit of a con for me, is, you know, no battery life indicator. Now, again, it would be really cool if 8-bit Do actually did like caps for buttons. Like, I think that would be such a cool idea for like the PlayStation DualShock or Dual Sense controllers, the Xbox controllers, whatever it might be. Like, because this is aimed at the Switch, even though it works on Raspberry Pi, on Mac and Windows, it's more so aimed at the Switch, right? They should, I think, release, even if it was like a separate purchase of like not very much money, they should release like little caps that you could stick over the buttons, just for some people that need the visual representation of like A, B, X, and Y. I mean, realistically, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal breaker. It's not really a con, but it would be really nice to see, because I know some people would actually benefit from this. So let's go on to the price. So the price of this is £19.99. So that's really good price. When you consider like an actual Pro controller is around £60. I'm not even sure what the DualSense controller costs. Probably about £70, something like that. So this, like I said, if you've already got controllers you want to use, this is only going to cost you 20 quid, and I think that's pretty good. And currently, at the time of filming at least, let's hope it's still on offer by the time this video goes live, but it's currently 30% off on Amazon, which brings it down to $13.99. Like, that's really good. You're not even going to get like a good quality like aftermarket controller for that kind of price. So I think this is a great thing, and I love the look of it. It just looks really cool. It looks like Mario bricks. You know, like it looks like it's very Nintendo looking, and yeah, it just looks really cool. But make sure you go for the second one. There is a previous version, but this one is called the Adapter 2. So you want to get the Adapter 2 because the first one will not work with the DualSense. Like, it won't allow rumble or gyro or anything like that. So there we go. It wasn't clickbait at all, was it? So it actually worked great. This works perfectly, and yes, you can actually use a PS5 controller on the Switch as well as loads of other controllers as well. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Will you be going and getting an adapter like this? Have you gone, oh what? Like, this is amazing. Like, yeah, I want to get one of these. Let me know down in the comments. Or do you already know about this? Have you already been using this? And you're like, oh, Andy, this is old news. What are you doing? Let's say you're not interested in any of this and you're like, Andy, I don't have a PS5, I don't have an Xbox, blah, blah, blah. Why did I watch this video? Well, then click this video here to see a cheap alternative to the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. It is our full-blown review, and you might want to go and watch this video. Just do it. Come on. Bye.